It was at the Passover meal that Jesus sat in that upper room and shared what we call the Lord's Supper. There's only one place that speaks of an action that he did during that supper that is in the Gospel of John, and that is the washing of the feet of his disciples. It was just before the Passover festival. Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. The evening meal was in progress. The devil had already prompted Judas and Simon Iscariot to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he knew that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, wrapped him in a towel around his waist. And after that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet, and drying them with the towel and was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus replied, "You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand." "No," said Peter, "you won't ever wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." "Then, Lord," Simon Peter replied, "don't just wash my feet, wash my head, wash my hands." I would say, give me a bath, okay? Jesus answered, "Those who have a bath need only to wash their feet. Their whole body is cleaned, and you are clean, though not every one of you." For he knew who was going to betray him, and that was why he said not everyone was clean. When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. "Do you understand?" In other words, do you understand now, right? "What I have done for you?" He asked them. "You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is who I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's." The expression of love, there's several times, and if you continue to read this passage, Jesus continues, and at this time, he also made a command. He not only says to wash the feet of each other. Well, what does that mean? Well, let's think about that for a moment. Typically in this particular setting, at the time, a servant would, if you came to a house, because they didn't wear shoes, like we do, or coverings like that. A lot of times they maybe go barefoot or even wear sandals. So their feet would always get dirty, and they the idea of tracking in the dirt, and you probably, some of you have had your mother say, take your shoes off, wipe your feet. Well, in this case, a servant and the household would wash the feet of those coming in. Jesus takes that role to wash his disciples' feet. And of course, Peter didn't like that too much. I mean, after all, I think he's really saying it in love because, well, you're the master. You shouldn't be doing this, right? Don't do that to me. Jesus' response is that it's only the feet that need to be clean. Particularly if you made a commitment to Jesus, it's our daily walk that needs to be clean in our relationship. And Jesus said, now wait a minute, Peter. If I don't wash it, you don't have any part of me. Well, why does he say that? Because you see, it's the process of washing our feet that if we don't wash it, they remain dirty and it affects our relationship with him. So daily, it's the idea of washing the feet that is important. And we need to do that for each other. You know, the word for that is forgiveness. The way you wash the other person's feet, even with that person that you just cannot seem like you get along with. The need for forgiveness is there. You need to wash their feet because that's exactly what Jesus did to Judas. Jesus hadn't left yet. And as Jesus is washing the feet, he washes Judas's feet as well. Peter's told later in this passage that, again, he says, well, I'll die with you, Lord. No. And Jesus says, well, wait a minute. You may die with me later, but right now you're going to deny me 3 times as if you didn't know me. As I've been meditating on this passage, I am convicted, or at least reminded how easy it is to betray Jesus. And how easy it is for any one of us to deny him in our everyday. Judas' betrayal, after saying he is aligned with him, he believed in Jesus. But his betrayal is substituting his own personal will over the will of God. I'm going to force Jesus to do this. He's going to proclaim himself. He's going to take over. And I'm going to make sure that he becomes public. So I'm pushing it. That was Judas's will, not the Father's. That happens with us when we have said, yes, Jesus is my Savior. He's Lord of my life. And in some ways we betray him. When we substitute our own will for his. And how many times we go to a situation where we know it's not the right thing to do, whatever it is, the circumstance. And others say, you know, Christians shouldn't be doing that, but it doesn't matter. We end up doing it. You get kind of peer pressure that goes on. Say, come on, you can do this. It's all right. You're not really one of them, are you? Christian? Disciple of Jesus? You're not really like that, are you? And we may not say it outwardly, but inwardly says, oh, I really don't know him. I really don't know him. And we act as if we didn't in that moment. And how easy it is. How easy it is in our everyday life to either betray Jesus, and that is substituting our will for his, and try to push it, control it, or deny him in the moment and say, well, I'm really not a Christian. I'm not a follower of Jesus. I'm just not going to act this way, when I know I should. Jesus tried to tell his disciples at one point, not here in this passage, telling that he was going to be handed over to the Gentiles and to be killed. And they started going back and forth. Well, who's number one? And how did they get there? I don't know. Who's the greatest in the kingdom? And they started arguing about that. And Jesus says in that context, he said, if you follow me, you must deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow me. And I think that when it comes to substituting our will for his in our lives, when it comes to those times in which we have a tendency to deny him or make it easy so I won't get persecuted because I'm going along, we need to hear those words. If you're following me, you are a follower of Jesus, to deny self, take up the cross, and follow me. Jesus' command was this, that you love others as I have loved you. Taking up the cross and following, not betraying, not denying. Taking up the cross, forgiving, washing other people's, even the people that you just can't deal with. Because it's not your forgiveness that you share with them has nothing to do with them. It has more to do with your own heart. Follow me. We know where that leads. For Jesus, it led to the cross. It led for him dying for us, for humanity and sin.